in some dude's dark room. He's at his computer, talking all nostalgic and shit. 15 years running this hobby project. Tonight it dies. He thanks the players who stuck around, sounding like a mix of relieved and sad. Then he shouts out one specific player, the guy who played the demon lord of a great empire. Name, Kunai. He tells Kunai to sleep well. Server shut down. Good night. Or so this sweet dumbass thinks. Suddenly, this dramatic-ass voice cuts through the darkness, talking about a world abandoned by God, angels choking on despair, midnight bells tolling. Not an ending, a new beginning, a new self. Our man, real name doesn't matter, he's Kunai now, blinks and he's not in his room anymore. He's standing in some random forest wearing a fancy dark outfit like a mob boss. Computer gone, chair gone, his whole boring life gone. He doesn't panic. He gets annoyed, like when your phone dies mid-video. He mutters about the clothes, the trees, the bullshit. Then he has a thought. If this is Infinity Game, the MMO he ran for 15 years, he should have admin powers. He tries it. Menu pops up. Works. Kinda. He tries to type his password and go home. The return option doesn't even exist. He's stuck. Something changed the rules. No cap. That's a bad vibe. Crazy to think this isn't even his main flex yet. A little girl stumbles out of the bushes. Scared. Dirty. Negative aura for days. Then a giant ugly monster crashes in, screaming about eating him. Kunai looks at the monster, looks at his own hands, reminds himself he's the demon lord now. He smiles like a menace, talks to the creature like it's a lost puppy. Monster charges. Kunai throws some knives. Monster dies instantly, no sweat, no heavy breathing, just a clean one-shot. The girl stares with huge eyes, calls him demon lord. He says, nah, just Kunai. She says her name is Aku, which he notes sounds like evil in Japanese. He laughs to himself, plus 10 aura points for the naming. Then he asks, are we in Japan? The girl has never heard of Japan. She says this place is the Kingdom of Holy Light, run by a cherub, 3 holy maidens, holy knights, blah blah. He figures someone tried to summon the character Kunai, but accidentally grabbed the real-life admin. Classic isekai fuck-up. This little sweet dumbass tells him to wash up at a nearby lake. He agrees. She gives him privacy. While he bathes, she stares at the water and thinks, with dark humor, maybe he wants me cleaner before he eats me. Girl's been through some shit. Uses his admin menu to summon soap and a towel. Costs 5 skill points. He's got about 30 left. He explains that in this world, you farm skill points by killing enemies. Stronger enemy equals more points. He asks about the monster he killed, Grail. Aku says Grail could have destroyed the whole damn kingdom. Kunai is genuinely surprised. To him, Grail was easy mode. He asks where Grail came from. Aku says the wishing shrine in the forest. Kunai wants to go there, not for wishes, for loot and info. Aku hesitates because she's tired and thinks she's a burden. Kunai cuts her off. Get on my back. That one sentence breaks her. She starts crying, not loud, but real. She spills. Her village gave her all the garbage jobs, called her filthy, then sacrificed her to Grail. She half believes she deserved it. Kunai listens, then drops this matter-of-fact fire. Those garbage jobs? Essential. Without you, the villagers would have gotten sick. You got nothing to be ashamed of. And being dirty? That just means you need a bath. Keep your heart clean, and you're good in my book. She thanks him, still calling him Demon Lord. He's losing that battle, climbs on his back. She admits this is the first time anyone has touched her kindly. She asks for patience. He gives none, just starts walking, plus 50 aura points for emotional damage. Along the way, he tests writing, a math equation and a word. She reads it perfectly, same written language. No Japan. Convenient isekai magic bullshit. They reach the wishing shrine. Kunai senses danger, tells Aku to wait outside. Inside, he finds dead bodies of the summoners and the dying spirit of the shrine. The spirit explains, those people wished for the demon lord. Their wish partially worked. Grail broke his seal and massacred everyone before the summoning finished. Kunai asks the spirit to send him home. Spirit says, can't. I'm corrupted. Decades of selfish wishes turned me into garbage. Here's a ring as a final sorry. Kunai looks at the ring, calls it ugly, leaves unimpressed. 0 aura given. Outside, Aku asks if he got a wish. He dodges the question and asks about nearby cities. She mentions the holy capital. He decides that's the next stop. Before she can draw a map, she asks quietly, can I come with you? Kunai thinks for half a second. Local guide, knows customs, useful. Yeah, let's go. She asks to stop at her old village to grab her stuff. He agrees. They arrive. Villagers immediately start screaming, plague, burden, you brought a demon lord to kill us. A mob of people then try and harass her, and they surround her and begin getting ready to throw rocks at her. Kunai, for whatever reason, chooses this moment to go invisible to see what the people think of her or something close to that. Honestly, was unnecessary, really. But that's him. She is about to be hurt, and the old Kunai tries to stop him from intervening, as if being an introvert means you allow kids to be hurt. But Kunai calls him a shitty adult if he lets it happen, and he comes out to defend her. The villagers are shocked that he appeared, and he apologizes to Aku for putting her through that. Then he lights the village on fire because it's trash. He burns the village down, not to kill people, but to erase the shitty little world that treated Aku like trash. A statement, a fucking neon sign that says, "Don't mess with my party members." They walk away from the flames. Aku admits she doesn't understand why he'd do that for someone like her. Kunai, stop defining yourself by what they said. You're doing fine for someone in a rotten world. She laughs a little, then catches herself. Later they leave and he runs off as it's time for a new adventure together. A girl who is clearly important based on the way the show frames her entrance. And she is already in a bit of a mood. She is walking down a road with an escort of soldiers. And before she even gets properly introduced, she bumps into someone and immediately goes off. She just goes straight into lecturing them about watching where they are going. And then, before anyone can even respond, she pivots to complaining about the fact that she got bumped into right before what she considers to be a hugely important mission. The mission in question? Subduing the Demon Lord. Is Luna elegant? Yes, that is genuinely her name. We cut to what appears to be a group of underground bandits. They are called the Moles, and their scouts have spotted Luna and her 20-soldier escort heading in their direction. Their chief, a guy named Owengel, gets the report and immediately starts calculating. He figures that a holy maiden personally coming out to deal with them is a big honor. He is the kind of guy who sees an opportunity in almost every situation. Now we snap back to Kunai and Aku, who are traveling toward the holy capital, and, as night starts to fall, need to figure out where they are going to sleep. He pulls up his administrator interface and starts going through his item system, calling out a series of items one by one. Each one on its own seems kind of mundane, but then he issues a command to combine them all, and suddenly, out of essentially nothing, a fully constructed shelter appears. Aku absolutely loses her mind over this. He explains very practically that the structure he just built is sturdy enough to withstand a rocket launcher hit, which, to be fair, Aku has absolutely no frame of reference for, and she says as much. He tells her to relax, clean up, and make herself comfortable. Aku hesitates before going inside. He tells her to just go get cleaned up, and that someday, completely out of nowhere, he is going to build her an entire hot spring resort. While Aku gets cleaned up, Kunai steps outside and looks up at the sky. There is a moon here, which he notes with quiet interest. This world is different from his own in almost every way, but it has a moon. He starts thinking through his situation more carefully and out loud, working through the logic of what it would take to get home. And then his thoughts drift into surprisingly grounded territory. He starts wondering whether he even has a job to go back to, whether his manager is furious with him. It is such a weirdly normal thing to worry about, given that he is standing in a fantasy world dressed like a crime boss. Aku comes back out and tells him she used the soap again. He makes an offhand comment about how she no longer smells like garbage and sadness, and she reacts to this with complete sincerity. It is the first time anyone has ever said anything like that to her, and she means it. The bar is genuinely on the floor for this kid. She then goes to lie down right in his bed under the covers, and he looks at her and realizes the situation reads a little strange. He clarifies, very earnestly, that whatever vibe she might be picking up from him, he is more of a big brother type, not an old man. Aku does not really understand what he is getting at, so she just says she is going to sleep. Wengel has made his decision. He is going to use them as bait. His plan is to attack them, draw Luna and her troops out into unfamiliar terrain, and then ambush her. It is not a bad plan on paper. The moles are clearly experienced enough to think tactically. Kunai, through his interface, detects the incoming attack immediately. He can see these guys coming from a mile away, literally, through what functions like a radar or detection system. He clocks their levels. Means they cannot even scratch him. He decides to just take the hit without even activating his defensive abilities. He tells Aku to stand back. The attack lands. The moles stare. There is this perfect beat of silence where everyone processes what they just witnessed. And then Kunai, completely unbothered, tells them to stop hiding and show themselves. Wengel steps out. He is a rough-looking older man, the kind of face that has clearly been through a lot. He introduces himself as the chief of the moles, and Kunai's reaction is genuinely strange. He looks at Wengel and immediately thinks he looks exactly like his old manager from the real world. He is so thrown off by this that he starts muttering to himself, asking if this is his manager somehow, rambling about being summoned, completely spacing out mid-confrontation. Wengel has absolutely no idea what to make of this and tells him to stop mumbling. Kunai shakes it off, confirms that no, this is not his manager, just an uncanny resemblance to that ugly neckbeard bastard, and the standoff continues. Wengel, getting annoyed, tells him that ignoring them will not end well. Before Kunai can respond to that, however, someone else shows up. Luna Elegant arrives attacking with spears of light, and she does not arrive quietly. She comes in hot, immediately goes after the moles for being bandits, and her energy is completely different from Kunai's controlled blankness. She dispatches the moles with obvious ease. They scatter almost immediately. One attack is about to hit Aku, but Kunai defends her with his body. Kunai is able to understand that because his barrier did not go off, that means this brat is max level somehow. But he wants an apology for being hit by one of her attacks, but she is stuck up and full of herself. She announces herself in full, one of the 3 holy maidens, the Golden Luna Elegant. She says his display of magic was reckless and irresponsible. She orders her soldiers to capture him. The soldiers try. This does not go well for the soldiers. He blocks their attacks with a barrier. Then Aura farms on them so hard. He walks up to her, and she crumbles like paper. As he picks, Luna is confused, asking what is happening. He raises his right hand, gathering power, and swings. And deciding to spank her as a punishment, she yelps in pain. He goes again and again for good measure. He does it multiple times, leaving handprints as he does so. The Demon Lord admitting he is enjoying it because she has a real spankable butt as he loses track of time. With him bragging about taking Luna's money as compensation, Aku is worried about Luna's butt. Luna now has a sore butt, pissed and ready to kill him. They get to town, and he is annoyed with how basic the names are and says whoever is naming these places deserves to get kicked in the dick. He tries to bribe Aku with free food, but Aku says, "Isn't that the Holy Maiden's money?" Hakuto says, "Hey, I was acting in self-defense, so I'm the victim here." As if this was an eroge game, we'd be going the sex slave route with her now, asking what that means, with him saying he'd wait until she's older to explain what that is. Their first purchase was seasoned meat, something Aku never gets to eat. They go to an inn to sleep in. Kunai asks for the best room available. The price is 1 gold coin. Aku immediately panics on his behalf and tries to talk him out of spending that much, calling him Demon Lord in public, which he shuts down immediately. He tells her she needs to refer to him differently, as her older brother maybe. Aku thinks about this for a moment, and then suggests calling him Papa instead. Kunai looks like he aged 10 years in 2 seconds. He very firmly explains that he is a young single man and that this is not the energy he is going for. Aku, who has literally never slept in a real bed in her life, is barely holding herself together. She keeps saying it feels like a dream, but before any of that, clothes. Kunai marches Aku into what appears to be a high-end clothing shop and tells the staff to dress her in whatever suits her. He pulls out the gold coin, the same coin he took from Luna, and suddenly the entire shop is at his disposal. The staff brings out outfit after outfit, and Aku gets the full transformation treatment. When she steps out in her new clothes, Kunai just stares at her for a second. He notes privately that she cleans up in a way that genuinely surprised him, and also that he somehow missed the fact that she has 2 different colored eyes. He files that detail away without drawing attention to it. He buys her everything that fits. This guy is a total beta, turning around and acting all sweet to be spanked for more money, as if a gold piece is worth his dignity. He'd likely do it for 20 silver pieces like a dancer. Back at a fancy restaurant, they sit down to eat together, and Aku asks Kunai directly why he is being so kind to her. They hear the thoughts of the other wealthy people in the restaurant about who let these poor people in. Then Kunai begins to order fancy wine, and they start to think he has great taste as he orders a fancy wine from 40 years ago. This gains him respect. The moment does not get a chance to fully develop, however, because Luna shows up. She is furious. She walks into the inn, spots Kunai sitting there eating with her money, and goes off. She wants to know who gave him permission to spend her gold. Kunai points out that she effectively handed it over when she attacked him, and that he was well within his rights since he acted in self-defense. Luna, who is clearly not used to losing arguments, does something unexpected. He invites her to sit down and join them. She is still angry and refuses, and he reminds her of the power of his right hand, and she is embarrassed, telling him to stay away from her butt. He then gets up to apologize to the guests for the disturbance. The other guests immediately revise their opinion of him upward as he offers the entire place wine. Luna is still annoyed, but the situation has shifted and she knows it. She cannot really make a scene now without looking unreasonable in front of everyone who just received free wine because of his generosity. She sits, she eats. She is grumpy about all of it, but she eats. After dinner, there is a practical problem. Luna barges on the door. She needs somewhere to stay. She has no gold left. Kunai, looking at her and then at the room situation, makes the call. She can stay in the room with them. She sent her soldiers home earlier in the evening, reasoning that she did not want to put them in danger for no good reason. Why she would send everyone home if she knew she was going after a demon lord? This is stopped by Aku, who cannot stand to watch him be so mean to the holy member of the church, and he decides to give back her money. Meanwhile, another young woman is in a different carriage, a holy maiden who is going to get her sister Luna from the demon lord, as the girl is always causing trouble. Luna wastes absolutely no time in establishing a new social order. She turns her attention to Aku, and with the casual authority of someone who has never once been told no in her life, informs the young girl that she will from this point forward refer to her as Sister Luna. Aku, who is visibly uncertain about whether this level of familiarity is appropriate, given that she is speaking to one of the 3 holy maidens of the Kingdom of Holy Light, hesitates and asks if such informality is really acceptable. Luna does not entertain the question for more than half a second. She declares that she says it is fine, and therefore it is fine, because she is the one who makes the rules. Luna then makes a remark, delivered with complete nonchalance, about the fact that the 2 of them have already seen each other without clothes, and are therefore well past the point of formality, and launches herself at Aku with the enthusiasm of someone who has decided they have a new best friend and intends to make that fact physically known. While this is unfolding, Kunai pulls his attention away and opens his administrator interface. He navigates to his item file and spends a quiet moment thinking through the system. He reflects internally that in Infinity Game, the game he spent 15 years running as an administrator, players were limited to carrying 10 items at a time. He approaches Luna and, dropping any pretense of ceremony, addresses her by her first name alone and asks if she has a moment to talk. Luna immediately catches the informality and questions whether they are really on a first-name basis now. Kunai brushes past this with minimal patience and makes it clear that what he actually needs is information about the cherub. Aku, ever the gentle mediator, steps in and frames the request more diplomatically on his behalf. Luna, apparently more willing to cooperate when asked nicely, provides what she knows. She explains that the cherub is dead. She continues by noting that the Kingdom of Holy Light is not entirely without divine guidance. There are still 2 other beings, referred to as the Ophon and the Seraph, who function as guides and protectors for the people. The scene shifts to a road some distance from the city. A caravan is moving with purpose through the landscape, and at its head is a woman whose entire presence radiates barely contained aggression. This is the 2nd eldest holy maiden, and she is on her way to the city of Yahoo, the same city where Kunai and the others are currently staying. One of her soldiers reports that they are almost at their destination. She announces that she is ready to put a rope around her little sister's neck and drag her back home. The soldiers around her make the mistake of expressing admiration for Luna's boldness in going after a demon lord on her own, calling it gutsy and praising her fierce bravery. Killer Queen turns on them without hesitation and tells them they are all morons. She has no patience for the characterization of her sister as some kind of courageous hero. In her estimation, Luna went off to do something reckless, not out of bravery, but out of a desire for attention. Back in the city, Kunai has been thinking through what Luna told him. He revisits the information about the Ophon and the Seraph and presses her further, asking if she can tell him where to find either of them. Luna admits that she has no idea. Neither being has been seen by anyone in the kingdom for a very long time, and at this point, their existence has essentially passed into the realm of legend. She does mention, somewhat dismissively, that there are believers who have convinced themselves that the stone statue at the Wishing Shrine, the same shrine Kunai visited in the previous episode, is actually the Ophon. She makes clear that she considers this to be a misguided and foolish belief, and concludes internally that he still does not have nearly enough information to form any kind of real plan. He also knows that before he can do any of that, he needs money, because his current financial situation is essentially nothing. He identifies what appears to be a merchant and engineers a conversation describing at length the traditions of his homeland regarding the serving of tea and the importance placed on elegance and taste. He explains that in his culture, presenting anything cheap or shoddy when serving tea is considered a serious embarrassment to one's family. The merchant, clearly intrigued, listens with growing interest. Kunai then produces a tea bowl. He describes it as his most treasured possession from his homeland. Internally, he is perfectly aware that this bowl is a piece of trash he conjured using a small number of skill points, something so low in game value that it barely registers. Before leaving, Kunai adds one final instruction with complete seriousness. If the merchant ever decides to sell the tea bowl, he must not accept a single coin less than 5 of the largest gold denominations available. The merchant is staggered by this figure and asks if Kunai is absolutely certain. Kunai responds that if the merchant cannot commit to that condition, they should simply pretend the conversation never happened. The merchant commits immediately. When Kunai walks away with the coin, he allows himself a moment of genuine internal surprise. He did not expect the item to be worth anywhere near that much. The scene cuts briefly to a dark and shadowy interior space where a group of robed figures are gathered in what functions as a cult meeting. He acknowledges that their attempt to summon the Demon Lord failed, which was a disappointment. The attempt caused the Holy Maidens to mobilize, which has advanced their broader agenda. He reminds the group that their original goal remains unchanged. They intend to eradicate the Holy Maidens from the world. The city erupts into excitement almost immediately after. Killer Queen has arrived. She storms into the area where Luna is present and shouts her sister's name with the energy of someone who has been holding in a very large amount of frustration for a very long time. The kind that tell you immediately that this person is going to be a significant amount of trouble. And then we get the sister interaction, and it is genuinely one of the funniest things in the episode. Killer Queen absolutely tears into Luna. How could she run off without telling anyone? What was she thinking, going after a demon lord alone? She is an imbecile. She should have taken a nap instead. Luna is on the defensive immediately, insisting that the demon lord is real and that she handled it completely. And then she delivers the line. She tells her sister, with full confidence and zero hesitation, that not only is the demon lord real, but that she tamed him with her butt. She says it like this is a completely normal and reasonable thing to report. Like, yes, sister, I encountered an ancient supernatural entity of unfathomable power, and I subdued him using my rear end. Mission accomplished. Please update your records accordingly. Killer Queen just stares at her. She asks, very carefully, if Luna is describing a dream. Luna doubles down. She insists he exists and that he is completely obsessed with her and her butt, trying to get a feel. Kunai is standing nearby hearing all of this, and internally he is just absolutely suffering. He knows exactly what she is referring to. The sister argument gets cut short because the cult shows up and starts attacking. These are the same robed cult members from the end of the Wishing Shrine storyline. Kunai recognizes the outfits immediately and connects them to the bodies he found at the shrine in episode 1. These people have been operating in the background this whole time, and now they are making their move against the Holy Maidens directly. Killer Queen responds to being attacked the way she responds to everything, which is with total physical commitment and zero hesitation. She is genuinely powerful, and watching her fight is wild. She is throwing out named attacks, trading insults with the enemies while she demolishes them, and clearly enjoying herself on some level even while being completely serious about it. Luna is right there beside her, and the two of them together are an absolute force. He releases something called Hades, this massive dark power that wipes out the divine protection both Holy Maidens are carrying. It is like watching someone flip a switch, and suddenly the people who were winning are vulnerable, and the situation has completely reversed. Killer Queen is shocked. Her body is not responding the way she needs it to, and the danger is suddenly very real. This is when Kunai hears something in his head, this cold internal voice that basically represents the darker logic of the Demon Lord role he has been pushed into. The voice suggests the most efficient solution, which is to just end everything at once. Kunai pushes back hard. He is not killing the Holy Maidens. The voice points out that everyone in this kingdom is already against him anyway, so it would technically be self-defense. Kunai is pinned firmly to the cobblestone ground of the city square. He finds the character management subsection and selects the option for a character change. The AI tells him if he selects the character, he won't be able to control the outcome, but he says anything is better than this and takes his chances. Immediately, a pillar of brilliant, blinding white light erupts from his position, shooting high into the clear blue sky. As the light begins to recede and Kunai appears in front of Luna and her sister, radiating an aura of overwhelming confidence and physical power. This new man, Zero Kirasame, has long, flowing silver hair that catches the sunlight. Zero has no memory, either asking where he is and who these people are. The cult are paralyzed by confusion and fear. Their leader, an older man with a weathered face hidden beneath a hood, demands to know the identity of this newcomer. Zero ignores the question at first, instead focusing on the group of mages who had been threatening the Holy Maidens and the innocent bystanders. He mocks the mages for their cowardice, noting that a group of grown men ganging up on women and children is a pathetic sight. as he begins to charge forward and just punch them. Killer Queen, who had previously been acting with a sense of haughty superiority, finds herself completely captivated by Zero's arrival. She remains on her knees, as she thinks she's only been called a woman a few times, but she thinks she likes him seeing her as one. Zero does not flinch. He prepares to engage them not with magic or steel, but with his bare hands. He announces the activation of his first skill, Kenpo. In a sudden explosion of movement, his arms become a blur. While watching this, Queen tries to reaffirm with Luna on this is what a real man looks like, but Luna is utterly knocked down, making Queen deem her useless. All the while, she is hanging on to everything Zero says, and even his cheesy one-liners on calling himself the Dragon. Zero then, with a Jersey accent, asked how Queen was doing, and that it was reckless for her to pick a fight with guys mainly as they had weapons. She is blushing as it's been a long time since someone was concerned about her. She knows she's not acting like herself right now, and is so embarrassed. If anyone she knew saw her right now, then she shyly asked for the guy's name. And at that point, her barbarian friend coughs, making it clear he's not passed out, and she whispers at him not to say a word, as she'll strangle him later. Zero doesn't pick up on this, and introduced himself, and she acts like a damsel, and with that, he walks away, and she is sure she found him the man of her destiny. Later, Kunai is back to his normal self, and realized he was Zero, and understands now how embarrassing he was, as Zero was a over-the-top character his middle school self made back when he thought these characters were cool. He is banging his head repeatedly against the bricks, his face flushed with a deep, secondary hand embarrassment. He is interrupted by the arrival of Aku, the young, blonde-haired girl with the red eye who has been his companion. She approaches him with a look of innocent curiosity, having searched for him after the chaos in the square. She tells him about Zero. Hakuto maintains a facade of ignorance, claiming he has no knowledge of such a person. In a dimly lit tavern, two new adventurers are introduced. Mikan, a woman with short orange hair and armor that is more like a statement rather than defending anything, and Yukikaze, a young woman with long silver hair and a large witch's hat who is lazily licking a popsicle, seemingly indifferent to how loud her licking is. Noise of the tavern. Mikan is more focused, scolding her partner for wasting time. They need a new bounty mission, so they head to the board covered in various posters. One poster catches their eye, a high-reward contract for the extermination of dangerous sandwolves. However, their attention is quickly diverted to a new, high-profile addition to the board. It is a wanted poster for the Demon Lord, featuring a grimacing, exaggeratedly evil illustration of Hakuto Kuna, with Yukikaze interested in that one, as she assumes the title is more like a character. Later at night, in an elegant horse-drawn carriage, Hakuto sits across from Luna and Aku. Kunai asked, why did she send all her soldiers home, as what happens if something happened? Luna, with a haughty attitude, says, well, she has him now. Kunai questions, since when did he agree to be her bodyguard? Luna tells him to shut his mouth. She knows he's enjoying this, as she smears the pervert is happy to have the job. Kunai, to this, doesn't see why he earned that title. He's done nothing. Luna knows that he hasn't been able to forget her, but calling him a butt fetish perv. Aku, for her part, is happy they all get to go on an adventure together. Luna agrees. In the desolate expanse of a sprawling desert, inside a luxurious white carriage, Hakuto, perhaps slightly irritated by Luna's extravagant and attention-grabbing attire, decides that a change of clothing is necessary for their continued journey. Luna, prone to vanity and suspicion, questions Kunai's motives, wondering aloud if he is attempting to dress her in something sexy. Hakuto dismisses her concerns with a blunt simply instructing her to put the clothes on. Luna takes it, and it actually looks pretty good. Aku, ever the gentle soul, tries to smooth over the tension, suggesting that the Demon Lord chose the outfit specifically for Luna. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the same desert, Mikan and Yukikaze, girlish boy Tomai. Their dynamic is one of constant bickering and lewd humor, largely driven by Yukikaze's flirtatious and often inappropriate comments. The heat of the desert is oppressive, a detail that Yukikaze uses as a springboard for complaints about his physical discomfort. Mikan, clearly used to his antics, remains focused on the task at hand, hunting sandwolves. Their search is short-lived as the horizon begins to churn with dust. What starts as a few stray predators quickly reveals itself to be a massive pack, their yellow eyes glowing with a predatory hunger through the haze of the sandstorm. Realizing they are vastly outnumbered, the two adventurers abandon any thought of combat and begin a desperate sprint for their lives. Back at the carriage, Hakuto decides to take a break from the confined space. He exits the vehicle to indulge in a cigarette. His quiet moment of reflection is interrupted by the panicked shouting of the coachman. In the distance, Mikan and Yukikaze are visible, running at full speed toward the carriage with a literal army of sand wolves at their heels. Hakuto watches them approach with a look of weary annoyance. He is unimpressed by their plight and frustrated that they are bringing their trouble directly to his location. Yukikaze shouts out a desperate plea for the fancy old man to deal with the beasts. Hakuto remains still as the pack of wolves closes the distance. Meanwhile, inside, Aku and Luna just finished changing. Internally, Kunai is freaking out, not sure if his barrier will pop up and protect him. When the wolves finally reach him, the Demon Lord does not draw a weapon. Instead, he puts on an act of overconfidence. The girls hear the noise and ask what's wrong, while Mikan and Yuki run past him. As they attack him, the barrier protects him. He lights a cigarette, utilizes the system-like powers at his disposal. He begins with his first skill. This manifests as a series of red blade-like energy projectiles that he launches with a casual wave of his hand. Not content with mere physical destruction, he follows up with his second skill, Sand Blind. Mikan and Yukikaze, watching the spectacle with wide-eyed disbelief. To finish the encounter, Hakuto prepares his third skill, Thunderclap. With a focused command, he releases it, causing a massive pillar of golden lightning to erupt. As the dust settles, the desert is quiet once more, littered with the fallen bodies of the predators. Mikan and Yukikaze approach the carriage, not sure how to talk to him. For his part, he tells them to be more careful next time, as anyone else would have died because of their cowardice. As he rides off, Mikan is now ready to believe that was the Demon Lord they heard about. Yukikaze, in particular, finds himself smitten by Hakuto's overwhelming strength. Mikan warns he's dangerous with Yuki, replying dangerous to his backside being attacked. Inside the carriage, Aku is deeply moved by what she has witnessed, but Hakuto soon decides that they need a more permanent base of operations. Using his administrator privileges, he accesses a glowing blue interface visible only to him. He navigates through various menus, selecting an option to summon a structure. In a flash of light and a manipulation of reality, a modern, modular building appears in the middle of the oasis where they have stopped. Luna and Aku are stunned. They have never seen a structure made of such materials or with such a design. Kunai watches them go in, but notices that Aku is walking with a limp. Hakuto, meanwhile, shares a brief, wordless moment with the coachman, handing the man a cigarette. It is a gesture of mutual respect between two men who recognize the extraordinary nature of their situation. He's impressed the guy remained calm and didn't panic when he could have died to the wolves. With the base established, Hakuto turns his attention to his next move. He decides to summon an aide. He reviews a list of 8 potential candidates, each a high-level character from the Infinity game. He eventually settles on Yu Kirino, described as a genius doctor. She is a woman of exceptional intellect and scientific skill, but she also possesses a dark, sadistic streak. Not to mention has a weird thing for young boys. Kunai also knows that if things go sour, he can still take her in a fight. Hakuto initiates the summoning process, and a massive pillar of white and blue light erupts from the ground near the new base. From the light emerges a tall woman with long, flowing black hair, wearing a white lab coat over a professional outfit. She carries herself with a chilling elegance and an air of clinical detachment. She greets Hakuto as her chief, her loyalty to him being a fundamental part of her programming. Hakuto and Yu engage in a detailed discussion about their current circumstances. He explains that they are no longer in the great empire of their home world, but have been transported to a fantasy realm. Yu accepts this information with surprising ease, her scientific mind already beginning to analyze the variables of this new environment. They discuss the long-term goal of building the Nightless City, a fortress of technology and power that will serve as the Demon Lord's seat of influence, with this being Yu's idea. Yu believes now that they were brought here. They were meant to conquer the place. She asks what they should do first, and he says the first move should be to upgrade the base to a field hospital. But before going forward, he gives her one rule: not to kill people, as he knows her tendencies, and really he can't fully control her. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of Aku and Luna. Luna, now wearing the school uniform Hakuto gave her earlier, looks both out of place and oddly fitting in the desert. Luna immediately questions the nature of Yu's relationship with Hakuto, her jealousy flaring up at the sight of another woman, asking if she's his lover. Hakuto introduces Yu as his aide, instructing the girls to get along. Hakuto then tells Yu to look at Aku's leg. Aku's leg has a prominent, jagged scar, a remnant of the abuse she suffered in her village. At Hakuto's request, Yu agrees to examine and heal the injury. However, as she approaches Aku, her sadistic nature begins to surface. She activates her Hand of God, a terrifying mechanical prosthetic that unfurls from her sleeve, featuring needle-like claws and built-in syringes. Yu's breathing becomes heavy, and her eyes take on a manic, excited gleam. She whispers to Aku, suggesting that the girl should dress as a boy once she is healed, but Hakuto intervenes, telling Yu not to play around and to focus on the task. Yu complies, though her excitement remains. She injects a glowing green fluid into Aku's leg. The effect is instantaneous and magical. The scar tissue begins to shimmer and dissolve, replaced by smooth, healthy skin. In a matter of seconds, the injury that had plagued Aku for years is completely gone. Aku stands up tentatively, testing her weight on her leg. When she realizes she can walk and even run without any pain, she is overcome with joy. She dashes around the oasis, her laughter ringing out across the water. She returns to Yu and Hakuto, bowing deeply in gratitude. Hakuto then tells Yu she did a great job with a pat on the shoulder, and this does something to her. It supercharges her heart as she feels love. She is in bliss. She begins to cry from being needed and praised. She believes he's acting differently now in a great way, and she wants more.